After a week off to let you watch the great race, it's all eyes back on me, I mean us. And speaking of Bathurst, the Holden Tirana built its name on racing success. But what does the Tirana name mean? We'll get back to you with a rather interesting answer to that question at the end of NZV8TV. Brought to you by Smits Group, suppliers of leading automotive brands. Newlon, Maguire's, House of Colour, Spice Hecker, and a whole lot of other stuff to keep your V8 shiny, cool and fast. Not quite standard? Well, neither are NAC Insurance. They understand. NAC.co.nz. Old friends reunite. It's Bruce Anderson and the famous Pine Pack Mustang. And iconic Aussie race cars. The GIO Walkinshaw Commodore. XC Cobra of Vern Muller. And the Group C VH Commodore of friend of the show, Alan Grice. And you knew it was coming, more Central Muscle cars, this time Race 4 from Eastern Creek. And just to show we haven't forgotten New Zealand and the road cars, it's a rare split window 63 Corvette. Well, we're now only weeks away from the start of our National V8 Racing Championship, and out here at AV8 Motorsport it's all hands on deck as we put the final preparations on our 3 race cars. In preparation for our pre-season media launch next week, which we look forward to showing you some footage right here on NZV8 TV of our new cars. Cars that include the ITM Racing Commodore of Andrew Anderson, whose father Bruce and Uncle Wayne are considered some of the modern pioneers of V8 saloon car racing in New Zealand. A couple of sawmilling brothers from West Auckland, who with a mix of Kiwi ingenuity, sheer determination and common sense, built up their Pine Pack Racing race team in the mid-80s to measure themselves against the best in Australasia and the world in Group A racing. And through the magic of modern television, we can now transport you 24 years into the future to reunite Bruce with the number 32 Pine Pack Mustang at the Muscle Car Masters.
What a fantastic event, what a great place to see muscle cars in the flesh. That's the image of muscle cars generally. I think people expect a lot out of them, and you do get a lot out of them. You get a lot of fun, enjoyment driving them, and I think they're crowd pleasers. They make a lot of noise, and they do look the part. Here in Australia, of course, everything had to be homegrown, home assembled, and there was a big manufacturing industry, obviously, in Australia with General Motors and Ford competing. So the Mustang was a little bit left field in that respect, literally left-hand drive, but left field as far as the public was concerned. By comparison, not a lot of grunt. I think that's probably one of the misunderstood things about some of these cars. Yeah, they depended on handling, and quite simply, this Mustang that we've got here, we probably never had more than 350 or 360 horsepower. And if you compared that with, say, even the New Zealand V8 touring cars, probably running 430, 435 horsepower possibly. Yeah, not even on the money, but they were very nimble cars. Had it had a bit more horsepower in its day? Who knows? Could have been right up there. That's a great thing that the Australian classes have put together. They've had the numbers of cars, but they've done a lot to preserve those original cars and do a lot to promote it. So yes, you are seeing the genuine article. They're as near to original as they can keep them. A few concessions for safety and reliability. You can't, for example, build a replica one of these. They are the Group A car of the day. It has to be the genuine car. It's got the correct number on it, and it's got the history with it.
Ford had got more involved in the homologation of these cars and put a decent inlet manifold on them and a few other things. They would have probably cracked 400. You know, they might have been 450 horse or something like that, and they would have been a great little car like that. Well, they're good anyway. Like the handling's superb, the brakes are great, and they're so easy to drive. The little inlet manifold that they have makes them really tractable, so they pull from about $3,000. We don't rev them much over 6.5. Yeah. So it's a little tractor to drive around. So you can be in the wrong gear and it doesn't matter, you can just keep going. It's history, I suppose. You know, that's one of the reasons why I race the old Group A car. You know, when I was a kid, I used to watch these cars race over in NZ, and I suppose when I moved over to Oz 9 years ago, I sort of aspired to buy a Group A or a Group C car, and found out this thing was for sale over in Timaru, and we brought it and got it restored and been running it for 3 seasons now. It's really good fun. So it's neat racing. You get out there and you're on the grid with cars that you remember watching when you were a kid at Bathurst and stuff. So yeah, it's quite a blast, really. I really enjoy it. Well, that's the beauty of them. In our class, Group A, Group C, historics, the original logbook race cars. No replicas, so, you know, there's a lot of history out there, and We've got, I think, 48 cars on the grid today, so big, huge fields. And yeah, it's good fun. When Seaton's here and Jason Richards driving a car, so it's good having the good boys out there to show us amateurs how much we are amateurs, I suppose. So yeah, no, it's all good.
And how fantastic it was, in amongst the wealth of Australian race history at Eastern Creek, to see this Kiwi-built car, rebuilt in New Zealand and still run by a New Zealander, out there mixing it with the Aussies, just as the Anderson brothers did back in the day. And because racing V8s is a disease you just can't cure, Bruce Anderson recently returned to Australia to take on the Aussies once again with the newly restored 1969 Mustang that he built for fun racing after giving up the Group A. One of the most memorable cars from the Group A era are the Walkinshaw Commodores, and this one even has my race number, which makes it extra cool.
The car I'm racing this weekend is the Bob Forbes GIO-sponsored Walkinshaw Commodore. The car started life obviously as a Perkins chassis, number 007, and Bob Forbes purchased the car in 1989, changed a little bit of the bar work, painted it red, and pretty much ran it in 1989 Australian Touring Car Championship and the long distance races. 1990 ran the car in Sandown and Bathurst as well, with Russell Ingall having his debut in touring cars at Bathurst in 1990, and Kevin Bartlett, that was also his last race at Bathurst in this car as well in 1990. The engine's a 5-litre Holden engine, all the standard bits as they obviously require with Corollo conrods. And we're running an 8-throttle inlet manifold, which was produced by Morrison's Foundry in Lilydale for Holden Motorsport, and they were all done in 1990, ready for the 91 season. In 1991, the cams allowed an upgrade of the rear wheel arches slightly to accommodate the 11-inch wide wheels. So the car was sent back to Perkins Engineering in 91, where they got into it and massaged the rear quarters just to fit the 11s in. And you know, in 91 the car also ran the 6-speed gearbox, which was also allowed for the rest of the competition, obviously, because the Nissans ran that 6-speed in 1990, so they freed it all up just to keep the Commodore a little bit more competitive. The Muscle Car Masters here is our premier event. You know, it attracts a lot of cars. You know, this weekend we've got 46 or 47 cars running, so everybody really makes an effort to come out to this meeting and try and have a good time.
And it makes it an extra special good time when you win, beating former V8 Supercar champ Glenn Seaton to the line in a works BMW.